didn't I get many people coming in to watch via my channel? And actually, it was because I put XXX on it last week. And but anyway, it is what it is. How you doing, guys? Everybody's rolling in. And while everybody rolls in, as usual, I'm gonna just check it's actually going live. And let's have a look. So how's your week been, Vibra? All right?
Yeah, can't complain, man. It's I kind of got a little nervous for a minute, once you start thinking about everything. You watch some of these fear porn guys on YouTube, and they're really smart. They make great points, but these guys are living in the past. And I gotta keep reminding myself, like, you can't go on old statistics. It's a new world. It's fantasy numbers. They just missed jobs by 911,000. Are you kidding me? Like, that means we need to overhaul the system. You're using data that a fifth grader could do better. So it's like, man, they're printing money. The markets are going to pump once we cut rates, and I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, every time I look at the whole crypto market, I'm just like, well, it's gonna grow way more than 4 trillion. I mean, 4 trillion is the equivalent of a small corporation, well, a reasonable sized corporation, just one, and I think I saw somebody post that today, and I was like thinking, God, I need to start banking some of these really good posts, just copy them and just stick them in a presentation or something, because it makes you really think. You think, yeah, you know what, it's like, it's nothing at the moment. 3.8 trillion or whatever, and I think how much is in Bitcoin at the moment? Well, way over 1 trillion.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is shared between all these other big projects, like, XRP, Chainlink, whether you like them or not, all of these other hundreds and hundreds of cryptos, and some of them very good, including QUBIC. And you think to yourself, hold on a minute, this isn't going to end like this. Ondo Finance and all that, where you're going to have all real world assets. It's going to be absolutely massive. We're talking 100 trill. And I've seen a lot of commentators say that it's going to really start to ramp up, and that's going to happen over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So if you can hang around, then trust me, QUBIC or pretty much any project that you're in, any good project that you're in, is going to get a share of that money's coming in for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be an exciting time, and for QUBIC, it's the upside to it. And that's where I start telling people, I'm like, man, could you imagine QUBIC at a penny? And they're like, well, at a penny, do you know how big the market cap would be? And that's where we need to, like, even though market cap, like for the example you just used, where we're only at 3.9, it's going to grow to 100. That is great, but you can't use market cap for cryptos anymore. It is the worst metric to use. We have to stop doing that, because Access Alive, my buddy, his project, his coin has a $285 billion market cap. It's bigger than XRP's. But guess what? There's 150K in liquidity. So the market cap is a vanity metric. And I think there's going to be cryptos in the next year or two that hit $5-10 trillion valuations. And that's because of market cap. Because for XRP, for example, there's 100 billion of them out there, right? And there's about 2 billion of them that are left. So if you need to settle the DTCC or the back end of the stock market, and you're talking about quadrillions of dollars, and you only have 2 billion XRP, you can't just divide it by the 100 billion and say, well, it doesn't work that way. There's only a limited amount that need to transact a huge amount of money. You can do the math. So I think that's going to be a big thing. And that's what I'm really telling people about with QUBIC, especially, is you got to get market cap out of your head. The supply, 200 trillion, it's gonna come down, and at a penny, it puts it at a $2 trillion market cap, and it's like, yeah, that's right, and it's gonna be there.
Yeah, but you're right, and all the calculations that I've been doing, I mean, obviously, you have to try and figure out, right? Okay, if I put X amount, if I put $1,000 into this project, how much am I going to get out? And the way to do it, obviously, you guess what the market cap might be, and then work out what your price might be and all the rest of it and what you can get. But I agree with you. I mean, like when I look at market cap, I'm working it out against 125 trillion, but that might be massively reduced, you know, and I'm pretty sure it will be reduced because every smart contract has an IPO. So every IPO is going to literally destroy a lot of that supply. It could halve it. It could go even less, to be fair. But obviously, as it starts to halve it, the price starts to go up, which is good. And also within QUBIC, there's the supply watcher as well, which I think is a great bit of technology to try and keep an eye on the price so it doesn't go too high or too low. It just balances things nicely. Right, we can see that there's loads of people coming in, and I am going to share my screen for the usual presentation. Well, this one's going to be a bit different actually, as you all know. So I just want to start off by just asking people just to share the live streams. That is actually, it's been improving over the last couple of weeks, but let's see if we can hit 50 shares. All you need to do is when you see us on, if you're watching us on YouTube, then just literally click share it out onto your X profile. And if you're watching on X, it's super easy. All you have to do is literally click share, and then that would then share it and just tag it in with QUBIC as well. So the $ and then QUBIC will then get your reach really as far as it can possibly be. There's loads of people going to be watching today because of the nature of our stream. So come on, guys, let's try and get 50 shares at least this week. I mean, I think last week we got, I didn't count them all, but I think we got about 20, 30, something like that. And that was just on mine. So there might have been shares on Vibra's as well. I'm sure there probably was. Get involved in the stream. So ask questions. Better to ask questions in the YouTube because I've not actually got the X open. I've got it open on my phone, but I've not got it actually open. So yes, here we go. They're starting
45 reposts from last week's stream on Twitter.
How many?
You got 45 on yours.
45. Wow, that's not bad. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Everybody now, just spend a little minute reposting it, especially if you're in the QUBIC community. Let's get our reach as far and as wide as possible. You know, that's the aim of it, especially if you're in the QUBIC community and you want this project to be seen by other retailers. And the whole idea really of these streams is we are really the guys that are getting it out to new retailers that are gonna hopefully do well out of it. You know, that's the aim. We're small retailers ourselves, so get out there and let's front run the big orgs, because once the price starts going up and once the activity starts to happen, trust me, the price is going to be so much higher than it is today. So you can get a whole bag of tokens by by investing in it today. And then what else? Link up your account and you can win prizes. Our prizes had to be reduced a little bit because when we first did the linking up account thing, we had people that were doing so well out of it, and we were like, damn, our marketing budget was just getting absolutely battered, so we had to pull it back a bit. But linking up your account, if you're able to get like 500 watchers on your account, 500 viewers, and I can see them, so I'll be watching the numbers throughout the stream. If you wanted to link up your account, feel free. I can send you the StreamYard link, and all you do is link it up, and then you can we can then see how many live viewers you've got. And if you get 500, then we are agreeing to give you the equivalent in QUBIC of about $20. So it's free money for linking up if you've got a decent amount. I probably would do it if I was watching this stream and I was like, somebody was like offering that, and then I'd probably share it out, put a little bit of wordage in there, and then try and bag a free $20 worth of QUBIC sent to your account. Actually, I still owe somebody. we still owe somebody, but I need to get that paid. Then finally, underneath here is our marketing wallet. Now, if anybody, well, actually, we were saying that it's our marketing wallet, but it actually also has other funds in there. But if anybody did want to donate, I will stick this in the chat here. If anybody did want to donate, can you see that now? That is our wallet where we will actually be using to also use for like prizes and stuff like that. So if there are any whales or anything like that listening, and you wanted to put like a couple of billion QUBIC in there or something like that, then feel free. And obviously then we'll be able to give some real big prizes out, which will be great, because that's the intention of these streams, to really get people going and give a bit back to the community where we can. Okay, so we will get going and we will have a look at the agenda. So the agenda, same kind of format. I like to try and keep this format because what it does is it helps new people understand what QUBIC is as well. So we're obviously talking about some new and exciting stuff that a lot of people already know the story, but we need to also, every time we need to tell that story again, just because we get so many people that are literally starting to get interested in QUBIC. So introductions, we've already done them. Vibra and myself, and we are literally QStream. So we are basically streaming every week all about QUBIC. So we are investors, and we also are invested in loads of different other cryptos. And if you want to see more detailed one, the previous stream that we did last week is on the YouTube channel. You can go and check that out, and then you can get a bit of more of a detail about, you know, where kind of our journey. So we're going to look at what is QUBIC. So I've done some slides. I just literally took them off the website, have a little chat about those. Then we're going to look at the price chart. In fact, the price chart really makes me laugh because I did the price chart when the price was really low, kind of trying to gee everybody along and go, don't worry about the price and stuff like that. But actually it's popped up about, I don't know, 15-20%, something like that over the last day or two since the tier 1 listing has been announced, which is great. Stats, are we adding value? We're going to look at that. I'm going to try and keep that rolling each week. And then we're going to look at who the mysterious founder of QUBIC is. So we're going to have a little chit chat about that, see some of the things that I've seen online. And then I think Vibra's got some information on the Monero connection as well. Then we are going to look at our main item, which is going to be a Q&A with CFB. So I just hope that I didn't mislead anybody in all of the posts that I've made, because I was basically putting out there, you know, we've got a Q&A with CFB. He doesn't do live interviews, as most of you already know. So which I think is quite good, actually. I quite like the mystery of a founder. And also, in one of the questions, I think he mentioned something about it's a decentralized project. You know, there is no lead. You know, it's decentralized, and therefore, yeah, he might have founded it, but literally there's hundreds of people working on QUBIC. So even though he is the founder, it's a decentralized organization or project, shall we say. And hence the reason why he probably doesn't mind all this kind of chit chat about who he is and stuff like that. But I think actually leading it and being the visible face of it, it's not really where he's at. We are talking about one of the foremost cypherpunks in, you know, cypherpunks in the whole of crypto. You know, so and the nature of the cypherpunk era was kind of anonymity and kind of freedom, financial freedom in a lot of ways. So yeah, so we've got the Q&A, and that's all written down. So we've got a lot of slides. I think there's about 40 something questions that he was kind enough to answer. In fact, some of them he didn't answer, but that's kind of revealing in itself. And then obviously, if you guys have got any questions and stuff like that, please don't be shy, participate. And if we've got time, we'll bring you on. But so without further ado, we will have a look at the first slide. So this is for newbies. A lot of you guys in the chat will already know about, you know, what QUBIC is and stuff like that. So QUBIC is a community-driven project. It's completely open source and under an anti-military license. QUBIC was founded by Sergey Ivancheglo, the creator of NXT and co-founder of IOTA. And you know what I really like about the anti-military license is, in fact, I was in an X Spaces just a few days ago, and they booted me out because, you know when you're really excited about a project and you start to talk about it to a group. I started to talk about it, and the guy who started the Spaces, he actually booted me out of the group, and I was like, oh, right, okay. Because I was getting carried away, but I wasn't actually trying to shill it. I think the name of the group was something like AGI and all this kind of stuff, and they were all talking about that, and I was like, none of them had heard about QUBIC, and I was like really excited about it. And anyway, I apologize. I think that one guy blocked me, and then he unblocked me because he realized actually I wasn't doing it with any kind of malice or anything like that. Anyway, metrics. So we've got 150,000 community members. I'm wondering if that might have grown since this has been written. So there's about 1 million plus miners. So they are mining QUBIC. 55 million smart contract transfers per second. It's a fair launch project, which is one thing that we love to see in crypto. You know, when you're looking at some of these launches where the founders like embezzling half of the supply and stuff like that, that's pretty shitty, because what happens is when the price rise, they just forever dump it on your head. And then Q2 2022, the mainnet was live since April 2022. So it's from April 2022 to where we are now, and we'll look at the charts in a brief moment. You'll see that actually it's a really new project. When you're looking at, if you're comparing it to, like, say, Ethereum, and where Ethereum started and where it's grown to, we're going to do a little graph comparison in a moment. You can kind of see where we are and where they kind of started, but we are moving with some real speed. 10.5 trillion plus QUBIC tokens have been burnt in 3 smart contracts IPOs so far. Now, there have been quite a few more IPOs, so this probably needs updating. But basically, the way that it works is every time there is a smart contract introduced, the IPOs will burn QUBIC tokens out of supply, which is obviously great because lower supply means price goes up usually. And then the 676 dynamic assembly of computers. So they're the validators. So quite a large number of validators, which is a good thing. You don't want a tiny number of validators. I know some projects have got tiny number of validators. It's not great. So QUBIC, this is just a very high level overview, and this is, like I say, most of you have seen this. This is just taken from the QUBIC website, which is QUBIC.org for anybody that wants to check it out. So these are some of the key things that QUBIC is all about. So smart contracts. QUBIC smart contracts are built smarter. Each contract must pass a quorum vote. So which means that, which I love about this, like, if you compare again Ethereum, I mean, this is not slate Ethereum, but it's just the fact that anybody can build absolutely anything on Ethereum, and it can be a whole lot of rubbish. And it's kind of, in the end, it just becomes like loads of weeds, the occasional good stuff, but most of it weeds. Whereas in QUBIC, each contract must pass a quorum vote, ensuring that there's only going to be meaningful and efficient contracts that move forward to the next stage. Once accepted, it launches via an IPO, and then it enables passive income for shareholders and also the devs as well. So if there is any devs listening, it's a real good place to build, in my opinion. So the quorum protocol. So QUBIC's quorum brings 676 computers together to create a decentralized governance for executing smart contracts and securing the blockchain. Every vote counts, every task is validated, every transaction is secured. So when I see this quorum protocol, I just see security and stability and a really strong foundation. Then we've got Oracle machines. Now, this is something that we're going to do a deep dive in at some point in one of these Friday sessions. Oracle machines will be used to make smart contracts even smarter by resolving events through trustworthy data such as stock prices, sports scores, or sensor readings, etc. Also, oracles will give Agarth, which is the AI on QUBIC, the ability to observe the outer world and outsource computations. So it's just gonna, it just means that it'll be able to pull in more data, basically. And I think, some of the key oracles out there in crypto are, for example, Chainlink. But I think QUBIC, because of the nature of QUBIC, I think it's going to be a competitor at some point in the future.
Yeah, Chainlink is not it's not all that it's cracked up to be. It relies on third party, data, whereas like Flare and probably QUBIC, they're interoperable. They bring oracles to your native blockchain. So that's why I like Flare so much versus Chainlink, just because what they do for certain use cases that are going to be involved moving a lot of money around, you can't risk on a third party getting your data for you. It has to be sourced where you control it. And I'm imagining that's exactly what CFB. I mean, he'd look at everything he's built. I'm sure he's doing that.
Yeah, good point. And that and this is Vibra's specialty, is basically deep diving into projects, and is kind of how we've both found ourselves here with QUBIC. There's a lot to delve into, and there's a lot of really good stuff that's kind of hidden within QUBIC, that I think once people take a deep dive into it, especially newbies, they start to think, right, they start to add the pieces up, because obviously price increasing is not going to just happen overnight. If you're here just as an investor, then and you want to put a couple of grand in or a few grand in, just all you need to do is just sit back, enjoy, get on the Discord, enjoy yourself, and just see it all happening. Agarth is more than AI, so it's powered by a global network of miners. It evolves by creating billions of artificial neural networks, which are called ANNs. Agarth is building the future of AI, decentralized and open for anyone. So the great thing, and this is one of the big debates in AI at the moment, that the fact is the AI is really centralized. If you look at OpenAI or anything like that, it's all centralized. And I think that, this is just my opinion, I think centralized and closed door AI is potentially dangerous, because it can be used for certain things. And I know there are a lot of issues with regards to some of the other AIs that are happening. However, when we talk about other AIs, they're kind of intelligent LLMs rather than actual AGI, so they'll never be able to think outside of their owner. It reminds me a little bit of, like, Wizard of Oz, when you see the wizard at the end. That's what it reminds me of, these LLMs. What's that? Who's that guy that OpenAI? Who was his name?
Sam Altman.
Sam Altman. Yeah, he reminds me of the wizard on Wizard of Oz. When they pull back the curtain, they're like, "Oh, it's you." AI. So I put here, AI tools are going to be massively exploited, and that's what's going to be built, or is being built rather, in real time on QUBIC. So AI tools are going to be massively exploited. So if you can imagine, like Apple apps, I think there's about I've written it here, currently 1.9 million apps. And this is what will happen once AGI actually grows and is intelligent enough, then suddenly there's going to be so much development on QUBIC, and everybody that develops on QUBIC will need QUBIC tokens to be able to access it, which I just think is absolutely amazing. And you could be, I tapped it into, actually, when we're talking about AI, I tapped it into Grok just to ask it some questions on it. And Grok was just in complete agreement about how AGI on QUBIC would reach many hundreds of thousands and millions of people and users and developers. So yeah, this is basically our future, Agarth. and it's useful proof of work. So QUBIC's useful proof of work transforms mining into a powerful tool for AI training. So it's got masses of compute power, excess compute power. So this is valuable and will become more so. So I think currently, you know, when you're looking at the QUBIC price, I don't think a lot of these things are actually priced into it. I think we as kind of initial investors, because we are super early to this project, we are aware of it and we bought into it and we're like this, but there's certain things. I'm looking at some of these things and I'm thinking it just doesn't look like a lot of these things are actually priced in yet, which means you can get a good price getting in. So currently the excess power from QUBIC is mining Monero tokens and powering QUBIC's AI as well. And with regards to the Monero mining, they did, I think they achieved 51% of the network, and it made the Monero guys a little bit nervous, but I don't think there was any need to be, because I don't think there was anything dark about it. It was just literally to make some money out of it, and that will become clear in the questions to CFB. So forget the fees and delays. So forget fees, forget delays. QUBIC offers feeless transactions and secure offline payment verification. Every transaction is fast, final, and free. And yeah, obviously anybody that's got a QUBIC wallet will see that it's really, it's the quickest wallet that I think I've got out of all the wallets that I've got. When I send in stuff, there's no like hanging around, you know, like some of these cryptos like Ethereum or Bitcoin especially, you know, some of them can take like hours and hours, but QUBIC is literally, you know, it's straight away. It's almost like making a phone call, and it's free to send, which is great. So right now we're going to have a quick look at the price chart. Now this price chart is actually quite funny because I took the price when there was a particular dip a couple of days ago, and as you can see on the right hand side, you can see the QUBIC chart, and I think it is, let me just move my screen a little bit, it was 5019, and you can see that there was a bit of malaise in, not just in the community, but you know, when the price dips a little bit, people get a little bit not fuddy, but they're like, oh, it's a bit, it's very, it can be very, very tiring crypto, especially when you're looking at charts all the time. And that's why I would probably just say get in your project and don't worry too much about the charts. I like I said, I've said before, I look at the charts fair bit, not too much, but a fair bit, because I just that I'm interested just to see, you know, when there's news. Like for example, QUBIC got news just recently that OKX is going to be putting QUBIC on there, on being available. I can't get my words out. It's going to be available on their exchange, which is great. And that obviously a tier 1 listing. I think they're the fourth biggest in crypto, fourth biggest exchange, from what I read recently. So having QUBIC on that exchange is going to really, you know, be very, very helpful, because it will bring new players in. Because obviously when a coin is on a very, very big listing, it's just going to be exposed to so many more people, which is fantastic. But what I've done is I've done a little comparison here. So if you look at QUBIC's chart, you can see at the bottom, you can see the dates. I mean, I think we've got here kind of 2024. So if you look at 2024 QUBIC's price, and you can kind of see it to the left hand side of the QUBIC chart, and then you look to the chart on the left and you can see the Ethereum chart. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to explain that, you know, projects don't just like spike up to like crazy figures just overnight. It takes a little time for things to like generate and grow. And I think, you know, if you're in QUBIC for the longish game rather than just to jump in and out, and I think you'll do quite well. And I think with regards to the technology, I think the technology is better than Ethereum, as I've just shown you the reasons why. And I think all we're waiting for now is really the big builds. So when the builders do arrive, then I think that it's going to really, you know, the price is going to start to jolt upwards quite dramatically from where it is now. So I've put little arrows saying, QUBIC, you are here. So as you can see on the left, you can see the flat line of where Ethereum was, of just, you know, just a few dollars. And then obviously look at Ethereum now is $4,000. And I think that will be the same story with QUBIC, because you can see that everything is starting to grow. You got anything to say on the price chart there, Vibra?
Yeah, it's, I mean, we're in its first in cycle number 1, so it's only a year and a half old, so we haven't even gone through a bull market yet. And you know, I wouldn't be shocked if it kind of underperforms this cycle, and then next cycle with AGI, with AI Garth, and that being ready with AGI, that I think will be the like aha moment. There'll be so many more people developing, but I mean, who knows? This is crypto. Everything goes higher than you ever could imagine. This happened the last 2 cycles I was here, so yeah, that's why you just got to be here and have your bags. That's just the most important thing. The pump will come. You know, they're about to cut rates down. Things are gonna change real fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, I just want to say welcome everybody. I got loads of messages already. Keep them coming. Enjoy reading them. And also make sure you please share the stream out. I said this at the start of the stream. We've now got a whole load of people coming in and watching us. Thank you very much for coming. But please share it out as well. Good morning, GM, Samson. Here we go. We've got Gem has reposted the stream. We've got John Snow. This is one of the long-term projects that I'm hyped about, not going to lie. Well, yeah, exactly why we're streaming, mate. It's yeah, it's really interesting, and it's just going to be great to see it grow. How's it going? Yep. Linda Bella, hello from New Jersey. And Cubified, thanks for reposting the stream. Come on, guys, more reposts. I think we got about, I think we got about 45 last time. Let's see if we can top that. I mean, we should, with the huge community that we've got watching, and the live viewers and what have you. We should be getting like maybe 100. Maybe we're going to try and top that out next month. I'll put it in our stats, actually. That could be really good. And then we can see if we can beat it each time, because the more we repost, the more people that will get eyes on some of this information that we're going to be sharing today. Roberts, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Roberts. What do you all have to say today? Well, we're trying to say a few things now, but good morning, good morning. Does QUBIC on Solana represent the QUBIC? No, that's something different. Hodl, exactly, Linda Bella. Who can answer why Casper doesn't have smart contracts yet? I don't know. I'm not really. Casper is proof of shitty. Yeah. Should I tell you something funny? I've actually got a bag of Casper, and I'm just waiting for the right time to exit, to be very honest with you, because it just doesn't seem to do anything. It just, people keep saying it's hit the trilemma and it's got a bit of narrative, but the narrative's just boring.
It pumped like 80 million% in 2023, 2024. It was the only coin that was just pumping nonstop. So now, like,
yeah. But QUBIC can do strange things, you know, and I think they're waiting for a tier one, and you know, if they get smart contracts and that, maybe they've got some good ideas. So I don't want to rubbish anything, you know, just see what happens. That's a scam. Yes, that was a scam, that one. Take care, DJ. QUBIC Consult is known scam. Okay, so that's confirmed. So I'm just going to go back to this one. Okay, keep sharing, guys, please. Really helpful when you share. Right, let's go to the next slide, because we've got quite a few slides to go through today. So this is our performance statistics. So we're looking good. Have I spelled that right? Statist, probably. Right, so we've got, just looking at the profiles. So we've got my X profile, that's gone up. Vibra's profile, that's gone up. I mean, that might be from other reasons as well. So we're not saying anything just because of these streams, but interesting all the same. My YouTube has gone up. Vibra's has also, I think, maybe that's a mistype. I think that went up. QUBIC's main account has gone up by about 200. But by the way, if anybody has noticed actually that the QUBIC main account, I think there was some, I think Retro told me about, there was some, because it was at 100,000, but I think it was something to do with, there was some bot accounts in there or something like that. But I think periodically X gets rid of some of these as well. So because I was wondering why was there a dip, and that was the reason. So it wasn't actual real people leaving, but in fact real people have actually increased, so which is great to see. Anna Agarth 6182, actually that should be higher. I think that's about 6.5 now, still growing really slowly, which makes me smile, because if once Anna Agarth starts to develop her intelligence, then I think it's going to start to send shockwaves. And as CFB was saying, you know, that all phones will ring. He made a comment that all phones will ring. It's a bit of a mysterious comment, that one. Don't know what that means, but quite interesting. And then our QStream numbers, live and post watches, were pretty amazing, and I think they've grown since this as well. So I think live, we got about 2,100 watching live, which was brilliant. And then we've way more than 1,000 rewatchers. So pretty, you know, easily the biggest live streamers in QUBIC, which is great. And there's some other good live streamers as well. Follow them as well and support them. But yeah, we're doing quite well. QUBIC Discord, that's gone up, that keeps going up. And then I've got to fill some of these in as well, wallet numbers and all that kind of stuff. And price obviously is just going to be something that's going to rise over time. So we're not going to go straight into his Q&A now, which is basically, as you know, it's not actually going to be here live because CFB doesn't come, and he doesn't go online on lives. Okay, so but what I did is I actually physically contacted him directly, asked him if I can ask loads of questions, put it out to the community, all these questions, and then asked for them to give me some back. I took some of the best ones, and then I sent them through to CFB, and CFB took quite a good amount of time going through each of these questions. And trust me, there was a load of questions, and we'll get through some of them today and kind of chat through some of those as well. But before we do that, it's going to be interesting just to get a bit of an understanding of who this character actually is. And I think I've got a bit of an idea now, but there is limited information. But I think when somebody's big on privacy and being involved in crypto and basically creating decentralized projects, I don't think there's any necessity for them to be front and center, talking about their project or something like that. And I think by them doing that would probably detract a little bit from what's actually happening, because like I've said, QUBIC is a decentralized system where it's got loads of people working on it. There's some that actually work for the core team, foundation, etc. But it's all decentralized, and I think there's just so many people doing their thing, including mining, etc. So I've put here, and how he has made a decentralized project that is directly controlled by everyone and no one. So it's this one's, I think this one's pretty special. So I'm just going to read some of this out. It's quite wordy, so I'll read some of it out. Sergey Ivancheglo, also known as Come From Beyond, is a prominent figure in the cypherpunk and cryptocurrency movement, known for pioneering work in distributed ledger technology, proof of stake, and DAG-based systems such as NXT and IOTA. And you can see even just from that statement that this guy is really deep in it. He is a deep thinker in crypto, and he was obviously deep involved in the cypherpunk movement from back in the day, and he doesn't use his real name. Just that's obvious. So Sergey was born with a strong interest in computer games and virtual worlds, transitioned his passion into distributed computing and cryptography. He earned a Bachelor of Science focusing on electronics and artificial intelligence, which laid the foundation for his later work in blockchain and decentralized systems. His technical expertise and libertarian-minded interest in decentralized technologies align closely with the cypherpunk ethos of privacy, decentralization, and technological innovation, which again is just, it just sets the scene of, you can kind of see where from that statement where he wants QUBIC to be headed towards. So you can see there, you know, he was a Bachelor of Science focusing on electronics and artificial intelligence, and you know, you can see that that's obviously what QUBIC is all about. So major projects and contributions, NXT 2000. Now keep an eye on all the dates, guys, because we're going to be looking at, I think in the questions there are some areas where he comes back with answers that have dates in, which are really interesting. NXT 2013, Ivan Cheglo founded NXT, one of the first proof of stake blockchain platforms. NXT introduced innovative features such as built-in asset exchange, setting a precedent for many subsequent decentralized platforms. So as we can see, he's like the first. He tends to be the first runner in a lot of things, and I think the evidence suggests that it's also Bitcoin as well. So he was Mr. Bitcoin. He introduced Bitcoin, although there's loads of wacky theories out there, but I just don't see anybody else being able to do it. IOTA 2015, co-founded with David Sonsterbo, Dominic Shiner, and Sergey Popov. IOTA utilizes the Tangle, a DAG-based system optimized for feelers, scalable transactions, particularly for Internet of Things applications. Ivan Cheglo significantly contributed to its technical architecture and development. Anything? Are you aware of IOTA? What do you think of IOTA?
Yeah, I think it's a common theme with him. He's too far ahead of his time, and IOTA came out 10 years too early. And you're going to see how good of a project it is once AIs need to start communicating with each other, and we're really close to that. So he's been working on QUBIC his entire crypto journey, as far as I could tell, even going back to, I think, 2002 or 2004. Yeah. I think is when he had the idea for it. And these people like that are this smart, you know, they're 5 to 10 years ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's some, as I said, there's some dates in the Q&A. There are some dates in there, which I just find some of them like blew me away, to be fair. So also we've got here QUBIC. So we know about QUBIC. This open source project focuses on decentralization, computation with smart contracts, and AI integration. Ivan Cheglo designed the quorum-based computation system, which coordinates computations across hundreds of validators to facilitate decentralized applications. Then this one that I didn't really know about, to be fair, GIN, JINN. Ivan Cheglo co-founded the GIN project to create ternary hardware processors, reflecting his interest in alternative computing paradigms with ties to NXT and IOTA. So this was something that I was just like, wow, I didn't know about this one, because like you often hear IOTA and NXT, but GIN, I was like, all right, wow. And then we've got another one that I've not heard of either, Paracosm, founder of Paracosm, a multi-dimensional gaming universe integrating virtual and augmented reality with blockchain infrastructure. Now, that sounds a lot like My Last Match, which which Sergey CFB is actually undertaking. So I think the gaming thing is kind of deep in his interest, and I think that My Last Match is going to be amazing. And if anybody gets a chance to get involved in it, I would say, yeah, go for it. But we might be talking a few years down the line. Cypherpunk ideology and influence. Ivan Cheglo embodies the cypherpunk philosophy through his consistent work on privacy respecting, decentralized technologies that bypass traditional financial and computational intermediaries. His products Projects reflect key cypherpunk principles: decentralization, open source development, user empowerment, and experimentation with cryptographic protocols. Despite controversies and internal conflicts within organizations like IOTA Foundation, his contributions to cryptographic systems and blockchain protocols have been influential in shaping modern distributed ledger technology. So, you know, without him, things would probably look a lot different. You know, this guy it's obvious that this guy is one of the geniuses in the space, if we're allowed to use the word genius. Legacy and public presence. Operating under the pseudonym Come From Beyond, CFB, Ivan Chegler is respected for his technical prowess rather than corporate appearances, often focusing on independent development over institutionalized frameworks. His departure from IOTA in 2019 and shift towards independent projects exemplifies the cypherpunk prioritization of personal freedom, technical experimentation, and decentralized innovation over hierarchical authority. In summary, Ivan Chegler is a key cypherpunk member and crypto pioneer whose work on NXT, IOTA, and QUBIC and other projects continues to influence decentralized technology, emphasizing open source, innovation, cryptographic experimentation, and the broader cypherpunk ethos. So this, for me, really just exemplifies how I often do a lot of things in life, including investing. And, you know, sometimes looking at the person's bio, which this is kind of, you can kind of see, right, this is somebody that you'd probably want to be investing. If you're investing in crypto, you want to be investing in some of the best. I mean, I know there are other people in the space, you know, like, for example, in Hedera and ICP, there's some good people in there, and, you know, various other projects. But I just think this guy is for me is the leader. You know, he makes things and then other people kind of adopt them, which is, I think, is something special. Now, this was really quite interesting. So these are some of the early cypherpunks that are named. And if you look down the list, you've got here Adam Back. So most people know him. He's a inventor of Hashcash, CEO of Blockstream. And he was quite involved in Bitcoin development, should we say, early on. And he's still you know, live on Twitter. And I think he's answered a couple of my questions at certain points. So he's quite a nice. He's a good guy. I like him a lot. David Friedman, anarcho-capitalist theorist, not a cypherpunk, but crypto anarchy. So these guys, you know, you can just sort of imagine, like, you know, when they first started, they were like obviously young and like quite maybe a little bit wild, and, you know, they wanted to change things. You know, they wanted to change the world. And in many ways, I think if you look down this list, they have. Sometimes it doesn't always go well, especially when you look at, you know, people like Julian Assange, but he's out now, which is great. But, you know, looking down this list, you've got Nick Szabo, you've got who else? Hal Finney, who some people think was Satoshi. Then you've got here Satoshi Nakamoto, pseudonymous founder of Bitcoin, maybe a personal group many people put forward as possible candidates, blah, blah, blah. And then they've put here very probably the alias of a 90s cypherpunk. And then you've got Vinay Gupta, Wei Day, Timothy May, etc., etc. And then, but one thing that was I thought was quite interesting, because of the amount of work that Sergey CFB's done in the space, I was like, well, how come there's no CFB? There's a Satoshi Nakamoto, but there's definitely a name missing there, because if you want to pick out the cypherpunks, the CFB should be in that title, no doubt about it. And that was the thing that I thought was funny, because there's no name, there's no CFB on that in that list, or Sergey Ivan Cheglo, and we know that he was a cypherpunk and in the crypto space in the 1990s. So I just thought I'd leave that there for you to all have a little think about. And then so here we've got the slide, which is Sergey also known as CFB Satoshi, and I've put here, or was it Meyer Lansky? I hope it wasn't Meyer Lansky, because he was very kind of tied to government stuff. And I can't see it. I just cannot see it. I can't imagine a bunch of cypherpunks getting involved with somebody who is doing something for government. And actually, if you go back right to the very start of Bitcoin, nobody knew that Bitcoin was going to actually make it to where it was today. There was no way that anybody could foresee that Bitcoin at some point was going to be like, at the moment, what is it, $114,000 per token? I mean, I think its growth and adoption has been crazy. So what have I put here? So number one, the CFB addresses. I don't think this is a coincidence. Number two, the tech that it has been responsible for has just been crazy good. The absence from the cypherpunk list that I've just showed you, I think is that screams something. He's made a lot of comments. CFB's made a lot of comments on Discord, which are kind of leading and a bit, what's the word, trolling, a bit naughty, to try and get people, I'm pretty sure that he is personally. There's also I read somewhere that there's similarities. I've read the Bitcoin white paper, but I've not read the Monero white paper. But I think there are quite a lot of similarities between Monero white paper and the Bitcoin white paper, not in the actual essence of both projects, but just in the way that they're maybe worded, etc. I think. So timeline and expertise, early involvement in crypto, pre-2013, aligns with Satoshi's 2008 to 2011 activity. His POS and DAG work builds on Bitcoin's foundations. Pseudonym overlap. CFB's Come From Beyond evokes Satoshi's mysterious disappearance. Ivan Cheglow's low-profile style. Few photos, pseudonyms like CFB mirrors Satoshi's disappearance. Some claim Satoshi's emails show Eastern European caution due to regional political risks, e.g. post-Soviet surveillance. Email tie-in, vague claims that email timestamps or word choices hint at non-Anglophile origins, but linguistic tools like stylometry, e.g. JStylo, software analysts, contradict this, showing high native English proficiency. So it's not 100% that it is him, but it's there's definitely a lot of coincidences, shall we say. So two of the big coincidences here are the Bitcoin addresses, and I think somebody, what was his name? There was a streamer on QUBIC that did a stream, and he went through asking. He actually went through. I think he was asking Grok, and he was feeding Grok with some ideas of CFB maybe being Satoshi, and actually in the end it was Grok considered it almost definite that CFB was Satoshi. So we've got the two addresses. As you can see, the first address here was the fourth address created, and that was 15 UBIC. And then you've got here highlighted in yellow NVO ZLT. And by the way, this is not my work. This is just something that other people have done. But that means new gold. So Novo Zloto equals new gold. And that's in Novo Zloto is Russian. And in English, it means new gold. So obviously NVO ZLT. It looks like a vanity address to me, and it probably is. And then the second address is 1CFB. That's just so obvious. It's unbelievable, isn't it? And there might be other things in some of them other letters that people have not kind of unraveled yet. So fourth Bitcoin block ever, created 6 days after Bitcoin creation. Base 58 coding equals the 15 letter of the alphabet, which was Q, and that would make it instead of being 15. So when you can see in that address where it says 15 UBIC, you would be QUBIC. Okay, so I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work it out. What's the probability that all of this is coincidence? statistically negligible, less than 1 in, what's that? That's million, billion, trillion, whatever that is after trillion. So yeah, we're talking winning the lottery several times in a row type of odds. And that was piece of work that this other YouTuber did, which I thought was really interesting. So overall, Bitcoin, Monero, IOTA, NXT, QUBIC, and probably other stuff that we have no idea about. CFB equals BX next, who probably is also Satoshi. So that was just a quick overview, but I think also there is something that me and Vibra were chatting about as well, which was the Monero connection. I've pulled off some stuff about the Monero connection, but I don't know if you want to just have a little give your kind of explanation of what you've uncovered with regards to CFB potentially being Nicholas van Saberhagen, which is obviously an alias. Sounds a bit like, you know, Satoshi Nakamoto type alias to me.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Vibra?
There's a lot of early Bitcoin talk days where these chat forums that these guys were talking in, and the way that he responds from these different accounts, it's very compelling. And there's a lot of, I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's a bunch of articles like this that basically tie him to Crypto Note, and Crypto Note and Monero, the same founder. So, and it just makes sense kind of why he chose Monero. You know, if you really were going to do something big and make a splash, I feel like you'd kind of go for like Dogecoin or something bigger. And I guess Monero was big, but if it's your project you founded, it's something that, I don't know, you'd be comfortable doing. So kind of just, it fits with the way he moves and the way he deflects. It just pins the blame on the other Sergey from Chainlink, and the way he just kind of goofs around. I think he is very good at playing multiple people. I think it's like what he does for fun almost. Is he's so smart. He's 4 people at the same time. So
yeah. I agree, and it's and I think the thing that he seems to kind of be right in the front and center of everything, kind of, what's the word, everything new and big in crypto. He seems to be straddling almost everything. There almost seems to be his signature on a lot of these things. And I think with this this Nicholas van Saberhagen character, I just think it's got, for me, if I think Satoshi Nakamoto is CFB, then I also think this character here could also be CFB, or this character here could be the same person that was Satoshi, or the same group of people even. I'm not sure, but there just seems to be so much similarities between this and also this kind of, the Monero kind of fits well with the Cypherpunk manifesto, which we know, and I've actually got it in one of the Q&A answers, where he makes a very strong statement about the Cypherpunk era, and that he doesn't like some technologies that are going against that. So that for me says, right, he was right in the thick of this. Let's have a look. So the creator of the white paper went by the name Nicholas van Saberhagen, like Satoshi Nakamoto, the founder of Bitcoin white paper. That name is probably a pseudonym, I would have thought, almost definitely. Saberhagen's true identity and location remain unknown, same as Bitcoin. Yeah. Some have claimed that the author is someone in the Bitcoin community, possibly somebody unknown. The possible suspects have been floated as Adam Back, Nick Szabo, and even Satoshi Nakamoto, but little evidence supports these claims. Almost nothing is known about the original author of Crypto Note, Nicholas van Saberhagen. Now, Also, another thing, there was a question asked in one of the Q&A questions that we're going to go through shortly about his book choices. And his book, he seems to be very well read. Just looking at the book choices, I felt that this was somebody that's like read quite a bit. Back in the days, I used to read loads, but now I don't read hardly as much as I should, because I'm too busy doing crypto stuff. But is there anything else that we can kind of pick out of here? Let's have a look. Let's go to the next page. I think there was some more information here. Writing analysis, the developer of. So what we've got here, writing analysis shows a clear style connection between the two white papers. Yeah, that's something that I've come across before. The developer of the crypto note white paper was more likely to be the creator of the Bitcoin white paper than any of the 15 leading papers selected from the Monero literature. So I think there is, you know, I think it's pretty obvious that we're kind of onto something here, and I don't think it's any coincidence that QUBIC gets into a position with excess compute power, and then CFB goes into Monero, starts to mine it, almost like tidying up his baby. You know, there's more to it than just mining it for profit, I feel. So, you know, I suppose you've just got to read into that what you might. So this is, I found this so interesting when I was getting these questions back. So as you know, CFB is not going to be live on the chat. You never know; it could be anonymously in the comments. Who knows? But he has. I have been in contact with him, and he has sent me these questions back. So, and as you know, he is available in the Discord. He doesn't answer everything. He might if you ask him something, but these questions, I mean, I pulled together a whole load of questions from the community, and I tell you something, some of them I was really like blown away by. Maybe you will be as well. So this is our main part of this presentation, and it's questions to the founder. And the best ones from the community have been asked as well. So let's see. And don't be surprised when I show you that some of them have not been answered. It actually made me laugh a little bit because some of the questions were so daft that he kind of just gave no comment to them, which was really funny. So this was the first question. So the first question to CFB, I nearly said Satoshi then. The first question to CFB was, when was the first time that you thought about digital money and cryptography? And then his answer was 1999. Now, I was like, straight away, as soon as I saw his answer, I was like, damn, I need to get onto, so I got straight onto the internet, and I was like, when was Bitcoin launched? And Bitcoin was officially launched in 2009. So so that's when he started first thinking about digital money in 1999. So basically 10 years of well, we all know what CFB's been up to with regards to, you know, some of his known projects. He doesn't stand still, does he? Let's face it. So in 1919, I don't think he's just going to be sitting around on his arse thinking about, you know, obviously the question was when was the first time that he thought about digital money and cryptography? But he's at it. He's going to be between 1999 and 2009. Are we trying to imagine that he's not created anything? I think that would be crazy, you know. So when I saw the answer, I was just like, wow, that was the first answer. And I was like, I mean, if that's not an admission that you are something to do with Bitcoin, then I don't know what the hell is, you know. But Bitcoin was officially launched on January 3rd, 2009 by an unknown personal group using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. This date marks the mining of the first block known as the Genesis block. So There was another really funny question. So what do you reckon about this Vibra? I think it's quite interesting, isn't it? The dates, when you look at the date, and this is from the horse's mouth. So like another thing as well. The thing is with CFB, he's not a liar, from what I can tell. So he wouldn't have just lied and said 1999. I think he was pretty specific, and I think he does tend to drop in a lot of that. And if he's trolling, he will actually say he's trolling. He'll put that little troll face in. But let's take it that it's true that he actually thought about digital money and cryptography in 1999. What do you think about that? Do you think that's quite significant? I do personally.
Yeah, I mean, the first person that I could ever track back, that was putting in patents for anything with like digital money or crypto was David Schwartz. And that was all the way, I think it was like 1988 was the first time he had put a patent out, or it was 84 or 88. So it was in the mid.
David Schwartz, XRP.
Yeah, the XRPL CEO.
Yeah, he's smart. I like him as well, actually.
Yeah, he's another just genius, and some of my friends have met him in person at conferences and said him and his wife are like awesome people. They're both hilarious, and so if like I'm split almost dead down the middle between it being a group of people and I think it got hijacked from its original goal. And that's when I think he split off. I think he got hijacked around 2011, 2012-ish. And then I think he went and started doing his own thing. But just the amount of people that were around back in I think it was like eCoin or something that they tried, was like a digital payment. So there was a couple things, Elon was was working on it. And but that's a long time. I mean, that 10 years before Bitcoin launched. That's
it's common sense, isn't it, to think that this guy who's like a real problem solver, shall we say, he's going to be solving some problems. He's not going to be sitting around doing nothing. I mean, unless he had other stuff on and he was just like, yeah, I thought about it in 1999, but didn't actually do anything until after Bitcoin, that would actually surprise me. These kind of people are quite driven. It's almost like a jigsaw puzzle. I don't think they're really particularly driven by money as such, but no. I think they're driven by solving problems and, and trying to create something new. It's interesting you mentioned the guy from XRP, actually, because as you know, as an investment, I quite like XRP as well, and various other stuff. But when I was reading through some of CFB's answers, one of them it kind of made me laugh and also think as well, because there was one of the answers, which we'll see hopefully in a bit. It was about the fact that there were some people that sold out to governments, and this is one thing that CFB is pretty strong on. So he still retains his original ideology, and that is kind of quite rare, actually, because when we're young, we have this kind of punk ideology many ways, and then as we get older in life, maybe have families and stuff like that, you tend to become naturally more conservative in some ways. And I don't mean that in a political way, but I just mean as in like less reckless and a little bit more, like I say, conservative in the way that you live your life. So I just think it's really interesting that he's still got those same views, which I think is in many ways quite admirable, really. And it actually made me think. I was like thinking, shit, I've got some of these investments that he's basically saying are shit. Not shit that they're going to make me money, but shit as in for the wider world. So we'll hold that thought anyway. But yeah, quite interesting. I just thought the date was just wow, from the horse's mouth. This question was so funny. He didn't give an answer to this one, so I actually would have been quite intrigued. And this picture that I've taken was actually from two kids in Belarus, I think. And because I just like I saw it and I thought, oh yeah, look at him, this little kid looking at a camera. Just looks, I bet he was just such a smart kid. It'd be really interesting.
He was probably sitting there with his like with a laptop in his in front of him doing his own thing, not even paying it, or he was just completely thinking and doing other stuff in his head.
Yeah, I bet you he was. I bet you he was. I bet you it was so easy.
Yeah.
This is just my guess, but I bet you it was just so easy for him that I bet he was bored out of his brain there.
So my brother is was like, we growing up, he started building computers when he was like 6, and he ended up working for Google, and then left Google and went to work with Niantic, and they built Pokemon Go. So he was on the team that launched that, and like since like we were little, he was just so smarter than everyone else. Like he was the only white kid on the math Olympics thing. It was all Asian kids, like the New York State team, and you know, he was just different. Like he was into computers. And he hasn't changed. Like he's almost the same as he was when he was younger. Like he was way more just mature and just like never always kind of in the same tone, same mood.
Oh, that's
And
so cool.
they're just wired differently.
Yeah, that's so cool.
like they can't stop. Like they can't just sit and do nothing. Like they're I don't know how to explain it, but it's really fascinating, and he'll never stop. And it's
great.
not money that drives them. It's their brains need to solve problems, and it's what they need.
Yeah, and I think, again, looking at some of these answers, I think CFB has got a plan for AI, and I think it's going to be a big one, and I think it's going to positively change, you know, how we live our lives. But I just thought this was so funny, you know, when he just give no answer. Some of the ones that he just thought this is nonsense, or maybe it will be too revealing, you know, that kind of thing. He was that, but he did mention that he only wanted to answer technical questions, but I still threw some of these in as well because I just thought it's just, you know, you never know. But let's carry on. So now this is me being a bit of a this question's from me. This is me being a bit of a narcissist, okay? So just beware. So I've asked him, I am an artist, like I'm a painter. I think a great one. When an idea comes flowing, it just arrives. And I hear other great musicians such as Bob Dylan say the same thing. And then I've said, with your genius in developing with crypto, do ideas come to you in the same way? Because I just wanted to know how he kind of like how does he come to these kind of ways of thinking about blockchain and crypto and stuff like that. So he's come back with this. So he's quite a humble guy. You can see from this answer that he's quite a humble guy. So he said, I'm not a genius. Well, I think most geniuses would say they're not a genius. So there we go. So I'm not a genius, just an engineer. Any engineer could achieve the same if spent time on solving the problems I solved. So I get it, but you know, look, hey, you know, I think there's probably a lot of engineers that probably couldn't solve those kind of problems because you need to think a certain way. You need to try things out in a certain way. It's almost like being a crypto scientist, you know, like if you look back at some of those scientists from like old history times, like Newton and things like that, they were like just on another level, trying stuff out, experimenting, and they had a different thought process to the rest of the maybe more average scientists that are out there. And I think that's the same with him, really. So he sees it as solving problems. That's how he sees it. So the ideas that he's coming up with, are to solve a problem. So he's inventing things to solve a problem, which I thought that's quite an I thought that was a really interesting answer, the way that he came about it. You know, if that was me answering that one, I'd probably go, yeah, I'm a bloody genius. It just, the ideas just flow to me, and, you know, and all that. But there again, I'm much more of a simple brain than this guy. But I just thought I just thought the answer was really you know, kind of from a humble person, that he's just basically worked hard. You can see he's just an engineer that's basically worked hard on solving problems. That's it. That's what I get from that one. Anything to add there, Vibra?
No.
Let's go. Number 4. Like I say, there was a lot of questions. So you have moved different projects from Bitcoin. Oh gosh, that was a nicely put question, actually. I don't know who wrote this one. You have moved. This was the question. You have moved different projects from Bitcoin to IOTA and NXT. Do you see a day when you are bored of QUBIC and move on to something else? Now, the answer here is kind of revealing, because he didn't say, I didn't move from Bitcoin. He's actually just said, QUBIC is a platform for AI. Once its development is finished, I'll focus on AI. So I think in some ways this is it's like a trick question, which is quite clever, because they've actually said, you have moved from different projects from Bitcoin to IOTA and NXT. See, if that was me, I'd be like, no, I did IOTA and NXT, but I didn't do Bitcoin. But he just answered the question like he's moved from Bitcoin. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know it's not anything too technical, but it's just, I think it's just it's like an insight, really. You know, when somebody's just, because he's answering these questions quite quickly. So QUBIC is a platform for AI. Once its development is finished, I'll focus on AI. What's that mean then? Once its development is finished, I'll focus on AI. What does focusing on AI mean, do you think?
I mean,
Because
it's gonna keep progressing. Like, I mean, think of like how many different, like, we can't even picture right now all the different economies and stuff that's gonna come from this. So, you know, AI, it's gonna be all about AI and robots, and, you know, it's a never-ending problem. Like, he's always gonna have something to do. And I look at all the money pouring into AI. It's the narrative everywhere. And is it the end all be all? I don't think so. But for this time being, you know, we'll see.
yeah, let me just take a picture of this live viewers, which I need to do, just in case people say to me, we got this amount, and I'm like, no, you didn't. So yeah, that's interesting. So QUBIC is a platform for AI. Once its development is finished, I'll focus on AI. Okay, so the job is not completed, so he'll be then focusing on AI. So maybe other projects that need AI to use the AI platform. Okay, I get that, kind of. What is the end goal of QUBIC? And he's said, to provide a platform for decentralized AI which can survive attacks from government. See, this is what I'm saying about the cypherpunk ideology is still there, quite really strong. So basically what he wants is a decentralized AI which can survive attacks from governments. So basically takeovers and things like that. And I think the word attack is, I would probably change the word attack, maybe the word influence from governments, or, you know, bad entities, you know, because obviously governments have their kind of agendas and things like that, and you wouldn't want one government having it over another government, I think, is kind of what I'm thinking. But that's quite interesting, to provide a platform for decentralized AI which can survive attacks from government. So it's basically AI, which I was trying to tell that AI group in the spaces, maybe they're here tonight actually, but I was trying to explain to them, this is kind of this puts it in a sentence. So it's AI which is decentralized, open source, and can't be manipulated by political powers, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Take on that, Vibra?
I think that's interesting, because when AI, nobody trusts Sam Altman, Google's AI, Mark Zuckerberg's AI. So they're gonna, whatever one of those is the winner or whatever, it's not going to be decentralized. So people are going to be stuck with it because it's what is there. And if there's an alternative that is really decentralized, people are going to go to that. That's what we need. We can't have anything that has clouded bias, and that's what is being put into this crap right now. So until something comes out that everybody trusts, this, I don't see how this takes over everything. It's got to be decentralized. It has to run on all POUW, proof of useful work. Take Bitcoin's network. I think what I think is going to happen is Bitcoin is going to crash when Tether depegs or unravels in the next year or so, 2 years at most. And then I think Bitcoin's network, all that power is going to be used to train AI models. And what a perfect way to do it with have QUBIC 51% attack the Bitcoin network and take that shit over. And that's how a real AI works, is the Bitcoin network. And then it pays users to learn from you, take your data, instead of getting stolen from you every time my phone's listening to our stream right now. Yeah. God knows where it's going. Everything is stealing stuff, sending it and sort of selling it on the secondary and black market. And he clearly understands that. And governments are going to come hard for anything that's a threat to their censored bullshit that prevents the truth from getting out, or whatever these things have that the censored ones don't. It's going to be something, and they're going to clamp down hard to try to stop it. So whoever can do this and have it survive attacks, that's going to be the only one that can win. So
it's going to be a tool for the world. This is the way that I'm starting to see it.
Yeah.
If it sees the light of day, which it will, then apps are going to start building on it slowly but surely, and then suddenly people are going to realize this is a tool for the world for good, hopefully. And I think the way that it's going to run is, if there is anybody tries to do anything bad on it, I think they will just get closed down. I think they will just get closed down. Okay. I have become seriously intrigued with your real-world asset survival game. What's the update on this, and how many players do you think it will attract? And are there features that will be surprises? So I've put a little clip at the top here because since childhood, Sergey has been interested in the development of computer games, which later transformed into an interest in massively multiplayer online games and virtual augmented reality, and the complex back-end technology required to make them work properly. This interest made him deep dive into distributed computing, building expertise that was ultimately useful for the creation of distributed ledger technologies. So this is my last match. I just think is going to be outstanding. I cannot wait to see its development, because I'm kind of invested in some of the items within the game, and I just think it's just going to be another level. Can't wait. And the thing is, I'm a very visual person, so I'm still trying to figure out the visualities of it, but I'm sure that will come. And he's put here, we are working on level design now. Hard to say about the number of players at this stage. So quite a brief answer, but let's face it, he's working on it. And I think that the key thing is, it's whatever level design means. I don't know what level design means, but it sounds like things are happening. There's probably I probably need to search that in at some point and see
So what probably when you move on to the next level is probably different background, different
level
different
design.
cities, different, I don't
Right.
know, whatever the
Yes.
game's themed around.
Yeah. Well, I think, oh God, I'm going to bodge this up now, but I think it's based in Eastern European kind of post World War. I don't know, post. No, I'm sure it's like, is it 1990s war? 1990s Europe, something like that, or Eastern European 1990s. That's going to be the backdrop, something like that. I'm not too far off, I'm sure. Okay, so next question. What's the idea of mining Monero? I surmised that it was a show of strength, good marketing, and to enhance security of both QUBIC and Monero rather than some kind of dark attack. How do you see it? And Sergi CFB has answered, we had more computational power than needed for Agarth. Decided to earn money by mining a coin. Right. Okay. So that's the way that he sees it. If there were other elements to going mining Monero, he's not revealed it here, and I'm wondering if there is more to it than just earning money by mining a coin. But I don't know. Maybe that is all there is to it, you know. But I think it was put it this way. I think I think there was a lot in the crypto community that were laughing when they were hearing that QUBIC was gonna try and mine Monero, and then suddenly you just saw the laughter stop completely. And I saw it visually, and then suddenly they start kind of like getting a bit panicky. I don't think they need to get panicky. I think it literally is just a case of earning money, and maybe a side thing is maybe it was his, excuse me, maybe it was his project. Maybe this is his like baby. I mean, I posted something which was it was like a little baby with like loads of pictures, loads of logos of all of his different projects. Like there was one little baby with a Bitcoin logo on, and Monero, IOTA, etc., etc. And maybe Monero was one of his projects, and he was just coming back to tidy it up a little bit, because he's certainly got a lot of opinions on it. If you read some of his opinions on it, you know, when they're thinking about what they're going to do, the guys at Monero, what they're going to do, and he's basically like advising them. He's like saying, well, just do this and this and this, and everything will be fine, kind of thing, you know. So next slide. Mining Doge via ASICs or GPU CPU compatible script algorithm. Timescale. I don't really know what this means. I'll be honest with you. I know what mining Doge means, but I don't know what ASICs or GPU stroke CPU compatible script algorithm, and then timescale for Doge mining. So he knows exactly how he's going to do it. So he's going to mine it via ASICs, whatever they are, and it's going to happen in several months. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? So several months, maybe this year. Several months. Oh, that's going to be this year. So that's probably going to be right in the height of. I would have thought that's going to be right in the. Ooh, that's going to be right in the height of the bull run, isn't it? Would you say several months, December?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's when I think the Bitcoin top will be. But I don't know. I hear a lot of compelling arguments that we're gonna this is the crypto market is gonna, save the economy here in the US, and they're gonna build up a huge strategic reserve to help offset the debt. I mean, I've heard so much that I wouldn't be surprised if we had a normal cycle. I wouldn't be surprised if we just kind of moved up and to the right. But I don't know. I feel like, yeah, by Christmas, Bitcoin's going to be topping, and then altcoins will be flying.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So Doge mining potentially in December, and that means that when the bull run really starts to kick in, suddenly QUBIC will be in the news, and you know, it will kind of, because obviously Doge is a big beast. and it's got a lot of followers, supporters, and what have you. And then suddenly you're going to be like tying up QUBIC's name with this, and then people will go, are either going to be like crying about QUBIC mining Doge, or alternatively, if it was me, I'd probably be like thinking, hold on a minute, I think I need to try and get in with this guy, because this guy's a bit of a genius. He keeps mining all these massive projects. That would be my take on it as an investor. I'd be like thinking, hold on a minute, I need to get some of this QUBIC stuff. And I think that's going to be the aim. Eventually people will get it, and they'll be like, instead of people like, you know, say for example, if I was in the Monero community and I didn't hold a bag of QUBIC because of what they actually did, I'd be like, okay, I still like Monero, but actually I think probably I need a bag of QUBIC as well. That would be my mentality. That would be my thought. I'd be like, hold on, this is pretty clever. Next question. This was ridiculous. What's your favorite food? Can you imagine all the questions to ask Satoshi?
I couldn't even answer. He couldn't even write like egg rolls or something.
Yeah, I think it was. I think some of these stupid questions, I think actually it makes sense not to answer them, because I can see that he's obviously he doesn't mind having fun, but I suppose in something like this he doesn't want to be trivialized. You know, so if he starts saying, you know, if he said, for example, pizza, you know, there'd be people going online, you know, putting, you know, Sergi's CFB's face in a pizza and stuff like that, wouldn't they? You know what they're like, making memes out of it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he stayed away from it. But I'm thinking that I am trying to guess, maybe pizza, but not obviously every day. But I'm pretty sure most people like pizza, don't they? But yeah, who knows? I don't know. Pizza, pasta, I don't know. But funny question anyway. And also, I laughed at the. There's some more silly ones as well. How many hours do you sleep? No answer. Not really even revealing that one at all. How many hours a day do you work, and what motivates you? No answer. Let's go. They did make me laugh. Hobbies outside of crypto? No answer.
Developer.
Yeah, exactly. I do all my crypto stuff. This is my question, actually, because I am actually intrigued, but I've got a feeling he's probably quite mobile in the way that he does stuff. And in fact, you know what I've noticed? A lot of devs, they do their work on just one computer screen. I've seen that so many times, but I need like 2 or 3 screens. You know, I need something over here, something over here, and something over here. But I've seen, but anyway, so I've said I do all my crypto stuff in a crusty old man cave. Where do you do yours? No answer. So I took a little picture of where I could imagine him doing it, like in an actual cave somewhere. It's obviously not going to be the case, is it? Oh, I love this one. You were the 3rd person to mine Bitcoin, apparently. I love the mystery of who is Satoshi. Without answering that over-asked question, because I don't really want to know 100%, and then in brackets, but feel free to send me 100 Bitcoin from Satoshi address, lol. Did you know any of the key people at the beginning of Bitcoin, such as Adam Black, etc.? I think it's Adam Back, isn't it? Also, are there other crypto founders that you know, and any other projects that you respect? And then his answer was, I wasn't the 3rd person to mine Bitcoin. Now, I think all over the internet, everybody said CFB was the 3rd person to mine Bitcoin. So what's going on here then? Or was it the 4th person to mine Bitcoin? Because you know, in one of them other slides, there was something about.
Yeah, I think it was the 4th address, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm sure so many people have said that he was the 3rd person to mine Bitcoin. And then he's just answered back. So he didn't give any other information. I wasn't the 3rd person to mine Bitcoin. I just thought that was, I was like, all right. When I saw that, I was like, all right. Because I've heard, it just shows you, I've heard loads of times that 3rd person to mine Bitcoin. Okay, next question. I've been deep diving QUBIC recently and came to the conclusion that QUBIC could be a feature in every single category. Did you foresee this when you started building the foundations, that it would be an every chain for all developers? And then he's put this is his humbleness coming through. QUBIC doesn't have many features. For example, it doesn't have anonymity. Right.
There you
So
go.
he's reading that word features in a way that he reads features. I look at that one and say, well, it you know, it's scalable, it's got smart contracts, things like that. But I think he's taken that question to mean something different in his mindset, I think.
Yeah,
Which,
I'd agree. It's like saying how QUBIC is not going to be used for banks to transact on a neutral bridge asset. It's not going to be used for a privacy coin. It's not going to be used for oracles. It's like it's not going to be used as the gaming platform. I don't think. Like it's just he is a humble guy for responding like this, because as busy as he is, like these questions got to feel like they're coming from like not smart people to him. Like it's got to be annoying to have
yeah.
to answer these and
Well,
not just be like, how stupid are you? No.
They are. Well, they are. A lot of these questions are coming from like retail type people, you know, like
exactly
myself, and just they're not like deep dive, let's talk about the tech kind of thing. They are
he
just
won't answer the deep dive stuff. Like he only will answer like stuff that's about his project. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go. Oh yeah, right. Okay, number 16. So no answer on this. And how did you find out about Bitcoin? When Bitcoin launched, did you think it would have as much success and adoption as it has? Were you surprised? No answer. Exclamation mark. Read into that what you will. Because if I was I know I'm going back to the Bitcoin connection again, the Satoshi thing, but if I was the founder of something and I didn't want to say, and somebody asked me that question, how am I going to answer that question? How did you find out about Bitcoin? I bloody made it.
I mean, yeah. He was in the Bitcoin talks, in the Bitcoin forums back as early as anyone else. I mean, what's he going to say? Oh,
But if you're asking that question to say, for example, if he is Satoshi, he can't answer that question, can he?
Right. What's
because
he
he
say?
didn't find out about
A
Bitcoin.
dream I had.
He made it.
Yeah.
See, I think he would have. I think if he wasn't either involved in Bitcoin or was the sole person that actually devised Bitcoin, I think he would have actually have answered that question, because it's not like a silly question about what's your favorite food or favorite hobby. This is a question about crypto, you know, the start of crypto. How did you find out about Bitcoin? And about the Bitcoin launch, did you think it would have? There was just no answer, and I thought that was an interesting. Some of the omissions are as interesting as the actual answers, and I thought that was one of them. So I'm sure I am 100% sure that if he was not Satoshi, he would have answered that question. But you know, it's all speculation, and I think the speculation is quite fun. It doesn't really, to be honest with you, whether he was the founder of Bitcoin or not. Oh, here we go. This is another Bitcoin. This was another Bitcoin question. So, was Bitcoin your inspiration to take the technology further? So he said Bitcoin looked flawed in game theoretical aspect. Satoshi hid the flaw by over-engineering consensus instead of using good old quorum. So he's called Satoshi like somebody else. But was this like something that he recognized as, I've made something, but it's like, you know, I've made something, but actually it's not great because it's done this and this and this. It could well be, you know, he might have made it and then realized that the flaw is over-engineered consensus instead of using quorum. Should have used quorum. That's interesting, isn't it? Was Bitcoin your inspiration to take technology further? Bitcoin looked flawed in game theoretical aspect. Satoshi hid the flaw by over-engineering consensus instead of using good old quorum. Wow. Okay. Guys, we have got so many people on the stream. Can you all do me a favor? Guys, everybody listening, please share this out as far and wide as you can. We're not actually going to be on stream for much longer because we agreed that we were going to do 1.5 hours. So what I'm going to suggest that we do is come back to some of these questions in next Friday. Is that all right with you, Vibra? Because I know that we don't want to rush them because there is some more. So we're going to do one more question, and this one is pretty interesting. I think we'll do this final question, give it a little chat, go through the chat and see if there's any questions from that. And then we will call it a day because we're at 1 hour 40. And what we don't want is we don't want these streams growing to like 2.5 hours or anything like that, because the idea really is to go through the questions in a careful way and you know, bring as many new people on board as possible as well, so we can continue this in the next week's stream, which will be great actually. So this is our final question, but remember we've got another 20 questions that we're going to talk about next week. Okay. So this question here, this is our last question from CFB. Sorry, last question and answer. So someone said that you dreamt up the idea of QUBIC many years ago, but the technology was too far behind your thoughts. When did you start to formulate QUBIC? And then CFB has replied, circa 2000, so circa year 2000, it became apparent to me that computational power available even to universities isn't enough to develop AI. So I would pick 2000 as the answer. Wow. 2000. What was I doing in 2000? I was in Sweden celebrating the new year. That was a great party, that was. But wow, I think that's a really interesting answer. So he got involved. So computation. So 1999 was when he first started thinking about crypto, yeah? 1999. And then in 2000, he started to think about QUBIC in 2000. So that guys is 25 years ago is when CFB started thinking about QUBIC, like the raw kind of idea about QUBIC. I think that's insightful, isn't it? So he was messing about with some of this technology. So 1999 started maybe messing about with delving deep and stuff like that, getting off the gaming a little bit and into more crypto and that kind of stuff, cryptography and blockchain kind of ideas. And then, you know, then maybe started off with Bitcoin, then NXT, IOTA, all that kind of stuff. And then as it was going on, he was trying to maybe think of ways that he could make this AI platform. Is IOTA an AI platform, Vibra?
No, not an AI platform.
What is it? What is IOTA? I've not really delved into it, to be fair.
It's more for blockchains to kind of communicate is the best way I would describe it. You know, I'm not like a tech person, but
yeah. Okay, that's good. That's all we need. I just thought I didn't know if it was like a lesser version of what QUBIC is that we know QUBIC is. But I think that's really interesting. So 2000. So this guy's been thinking about he's been thinking about crypto since 1999, and then by 2000 he started to realize that computational power available to university isn't enough to develop AI. So AI has been on his mind since 2000. Wow, I think that's an amazing thing to understand. See, without asking a lot of these stupid questions, we wouldn't have found some of these answers out. And for me, you know, when I look at stuff like this, I'm starting to think, you know, as an investor, have I got a big enough bag? I'm thinking, should I be topping up even more or what? You know, but that's interesting. What do you think so far? These questions, right, are really, some of them are stupid, but you know what? I think I do like the innocence, that the way that some of the communities ask some of these questions, including me as well. Not going to lie, some of them are mine, but I think that the innocence is quite good, because I think the answers, he's just given the answers in a very easy to understand way as well. You know, I'm sure there's probably some people on the chat that want more techie stuff, but I think he's answering techie stuff on Discord and stuff like that. But this is just kind of like trying to figure out, right, when were you thinking about this, and when did you do this, and you know, all the and looking at this, and this guy's been thinking about QUBIC since 2025 years ago, when, you know, crypto was not even born. I just think this, like, he was thinking about QUBIC like 9 years before Bitcoin. But I'm wondering if Bitcoin was like the first thing that he put together to try and get to his AI platform almost. But I don't know. Maybe he was just trying. Maybe he was just trying Bitcoin first to try and see, right, is there a way? Because Bitcoin really is just like to see if there's a digital way of sending things. Maybe that was just like a kind of prototype type thing. You know, everybody's raving about Bitcoin's this and that, and I just see Bitcoin as this big golden elephant almost, you know, that just doesn't really do anything. It just sort of is a store of wealth. But I know Vibra's got different views on how that will work out. I don't know with Bitcoin, to be very honest, whether it's going to be good or bad or whatever. But I do know
that, 1 million or zero, one or the other.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is it. But there's going to be some people that just hold it. You know, there's going to be some people. Michael Saylor's just going to hold. He doesn't care, does he? He doesn't care. He really thinks he's got it.
He caused the .com. Like, you can go look up. You Google Michael Saylor .com crash, and you could find articles where Jim Cramer, that we still laugh at, literally says Michael Saylor was a huge reason for the .com boom. He lost like $6 billion in one day. So Michael Saylor got blamed for the .com, for a part of the .com collapse 25 years ago. And now he's bringing leverage into Bitcoin. Like, it's the same guy, same script.
Do you think that Michael Saylor's into other projects as well?
No, I think Michael Saylor is I think he did some really shady shit back in the day, and he cut a deal, and his deal was, you're going to be the face of Bitcoin. You're going to run around and tell the world is the greatest thing ever. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
I don't quite get it. But you know, when somebody is like this, like Maxi on something, and I'm like thinking, you know, if I was him, would I diversify? I think the thing is with him, it's like he tells everybody that he's 100% all in, and I'm like thinking, 100% all in is just so dangerous. You know, if it suddenly crashes, he's just going to be absolutely wiped out.
I mean, I don't know. I just think we've only known one world with Bitcoin as number one. It's digital gold. Well, what if QUBIC passes it in market cap? Because market cap becomes some stupid vanity metric, and some project passes it because of some fluke, and now Bitcoin is number two, and now it's digital silver. And now what? It's now no longer digital gold. Now people start thinking, oh shit, is it gonna? And now it's a race to the bottom. It's failed for what it seeked out initially to be, and it pivoted to a store value, and then it got pitched to Wall Street and the institutions, and now to pension fund and to the governments. So it's so far from what was set out to become, but maybe that was the whole point. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I think I hijacked from its initial intentions back in like 2012.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting, you know, like the truth behind some of these things. It's like it's kind of like, you know, I'd love to know some of the stuff, but you know, if you start going down the rabbit hole of some of these things, suddenly you're led down all kinds of routes. And I try and stay away nowadays from any kind of rabbit holes. I'm just like, you know, even the news, I just try and stay away from it. I just try and stay kind of what's the word, like what's that Chinese proverb of like, you know, just staying somewhere in the middle, not getting involved in this or making comments on this. It's very easy to get sucked into the negativity online. So I just stay away from it, concentrate on what I enjoy. I enjoy QUBIC. I enjoy talking about some crypto projects, and just enjoying the space, and not getting wrapped up in anything too political or anything like that, because otherwise you just get sucked into it. It's a bit like you know, when you're looking at the who made Bitcoin and stuff like that. I mean, I still think it's probably going to be somebody like CFB that actually kicked it off. But I just think the evidence is just so strong with the QUBIC addresses that he's a very playful person, and I think he's probably,
or he was in, or one of his friends, or like there was a couple people that, and they all like it's yeah, there's so much. And the fact that he said he was thinking about crypto 10 years before Bitcoin, so he must have saw like what was going on in the early days of what they were trying to do with bringing money onto computers. And then when he went to college, he probably started thinking about AI and realized, oh my God, like they couldn't even handle any of this stuff. I need to think bigger. And like these, you know, when you're that smart, yeah, who knows?
yeah, exactly. But I think you know, whether he is or he isn't, he was definitely thinking about it, and he was definitely in on it. Not in necessarily in on Bitcoin, but he was definitely in and around. He's definitely got cypherpunk. I wish I could go forward to that question, but I don't want to spoil it for next week. But I do think that he's definitely 100% got a cypherpunk view still. And as most of you know, there was a manifesto about what its intentions were and stuff like that. And I think he just wants to see it through. And I do think that's really admirable. It's not just about money, and I don't think he needs money, to be fair. And I think, you know, all of us need, you know, all of us in society, you know, wherever you come from in the world, we need, you know, honesty, and you know, these and we need platforms maybe like QUBIC that are gonna help improve our society, not just in you know, not just in UK or US, but all across the world. And it feels like he's trying to, with this project QUBIC, he's trying to in some ways bring about some kind of utopian ideals, which is very, very far up the kind of cypherpunk chain. And I think we're all just riding this wave with this fantastic technology. So, you know, let's just keep on with it. Keep having faith, keep believing, and we'll be back next week with some more of these questions. We've got about another 20. We'll rattle through them next week and see if there's anything else that we can reveal. I think there's some that I saw when I was making these slides that I was like, oh, really? That's really, really interesting. It's good to see an insight, especially if you're interested to invest or to build on this project. Suddenly you can kind of see that this guy, you know, this guy means business. And like, as we can see from this slide that's in front of us, you know, year 2000, 25 years ago, he was thinking about universities need more power, computational power, to develop AI. So this is like something that is not just an overnight sensation, which is fantastic. Guys, thank you so much for everybody attending today. Do you know how many live we've got at the moment, Vibra, total? And this is just what I can see on my screen. I need to take a picture of it again. We have got over 2,800 people live watching, and I'm sure this is going to get shared out afterwards as well. And I just want to thank everybody. I mean, I know a lot of you will be from the QUBIC community. We just need to keep, you know, pumping it, sharing it, and just exposing it to the wider crypto, you know, because it is a great project. It's, the foundations are sound, from what I can tell anyway, as a non-techie person. But I just think it's just so exciting, and I just think everybody's buzzed up about it. Don't worry about the price. You know, the price is so irrelevant at this stage. You know, think about the price maybe in a few years or something like that, and then things will be a lot different. But I just want to thank everybody for attending, and loads of people hitting us up in the chat as well. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And thanks for coming. Vibra, you got any final words, mate?
Looking forward to the rest of the questions next week. You know, it's definitely interesting to see and clear up some of the rumors out there where, oh, he was the third person to mine Bitcoin. Well, apparently he's not. So it's good stuff.
I should have asked a follow-up question to that one, but I just thought it's nice just to leave it hanging, actually, rather than follow up and go, oh, you know, you said this. I think that's it. You can't keep going back to somebody. It's embarrassing to go back to him and keep hitting him up. So you know, what his answers were his answers, and then it's down to us to kind of have fun with them, you know, that kind of thing. But thank you very much, guys, and wherever you are around the world, stay happy, stay peaceful. And we'll catch you on our X profiles. We'll obviously be posting. Vibra is doing videos and all sorts of different stuff as well, and QUBIC as well. And we'll do QStream again next Friday, same time, same place. And have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you very much. Cheers, Vibra. See you soon, mate.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.